Everyone in the courtroom thought the old woman was harmless. But the moment the judge leaned forward and asked her call sign, the air changed, like the world was holding its breath. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. She stood in the bright morning light that streamed through the courtroom windows, her hands trembling slightly as she gripped the railing. Her name was Evelyn Hart, 76 years old, soft-spoken, with silver hair neatly pinned back. She was there over a land dispute. Small, simple, hardly worth a judge's smirk. And yet, Judge Rowan Bennett looked at her as if she were a joke. "So, Mrs. Hart," he said, with a chuckle, tapping his pen on the desk. "Rumor says you were military. What was your call sign?" "Granny Eagle." People laughed. Not loudly, just enough for Evelyn to feel it under her skin like pins. She didn't answer. Not at first. Because she remembered the last time someone mocked her service, and how that day ended. She thought she'd never see a moment like that again. She was wrong. Outside the windows, dust rolled across the bright courthouse yard, stirred by a passing truck. The hush in the room thickened. Even the bailiff paused, sensing something shifting in the air. Rowan leaned back. "Come now, humor me." Evelyn swallowed. Her voice was thin but steady. "Sir, my call sign wasn't a joke." A murmur rippled across the benches. A few veterans in the back lifted their heads, suddenly paying attention. One of them straightened, recognizing something in her tone. Evelyn's fingertips brushed the edge of the wooden railing, grounding herself. She could feel her pulse in her wrists, the faint tremble returning to her hands. For decades she had lived quietly, tending her garden, keeping her medals tucked away like fragile memories. But this judge, this smirking man, had no idea whose name he had just summoned back into daylight. "I served in the Joint Rescue Task Unit," she said. "Earthquake Division. 1978 through 82. Rowan blinked. "Earthquake Division. That's classified at the time," one of the veterans muttered. "Not anymore." The crowd leaned forward. Even the sunlight seemed sharper now, slicing through the dust like golden threads. Evelyn took a slow breath. "My call sign was Hawk 7. The room froze. One of the veterans stood up, his cane trembling. "Hawk 7. Ma'am, Hawk 7 pulled 23 survivors out of the Saigon quakes." That was you?" Evelyn nodded softly, her eyes glistening. "We were a team. I just did my part." But others remembered more. The coordinated movements, the way she led volunteers through broken concrete as aftershocks rattled the ground. The day a collapsing tower sent a cloud of dust over the rescue line, and she had run straight into it. The courtroom felt smaller suddenly, crowded not with people but with the weight of what she'd lived through. Rowan shifted uncomfortably. The smirk was gone. Evelyn continued, her voice growing steadier. "I'm not asking for special treatment. Just respect. I've seen buildings fall. I've seen mothers carry children, who didn't." Her voice wavered. The sunlight caught the wetness in her eyes. "So I fight quietly now. For my home. My land. That's all I have left." For a moment no one breathed. Even the dust hung motionless in the light. Then the veteran with the cane stepped forward. Others followed, filling the aisle like a slow-moving wave. Old soldiers, retired responders, widows who had waded through deployments. Their presence changed the room's atmosphere from mockery to reverence. Rowan cleared his throat, looking suddenly very small behind his bench. "Mrs. Hart," he said, voice cracking slightly, "on behalf of this court, I apologize." The crowd murmured in agreement, some nodding, others wiping their eyes. Evelyn simply bowed her head. She hadn't intended to silence anyone. She just wanted fairness. And she finally got it. Because courage doesn't rust, it waits, steady and quiet, until the world needs reminding. And even in a bright courtroom morning, an old call sign can rise like a hawk into the sun. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful human stories told with heart.